I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. Ooh. I'ma keep winning, winning. You can try to save yourself, but you only go.
What's going on, guys? Jake Cam back with another video, and today I'm going to be looking at Mel Kiper's top three tight ends that he has ranked in this class for the 2025 NFL Draft coming up. But before we get into it, please make sure to like the video down below and make sure to comment down below anything you agree or disagree with in the comment section. And make sure to subscribe to my channel to keep up with future NFL content that I'm going to be putting out. I'm going to be putting out all types of stuff about the NFL Draft, NFL Combine, the Super Bowl, free agency, all that good stuff that's going to be coming up in the NFL offseason. So please make sure to subscribe to be able to keep up with all that content I'm going to be putting out. So in this one, this is Mel Kiper just dropped this yesterday. This is actually his top three tight ends that he has in this class. He's been kind of going over this with all of his positions. He released who's number three in the quarterback class this year, who's the number three quarterback. And right here, he's going to be talking about the top three tight ends that he has. Is any of them compared to Brock Bowers and their impact that they kind of had last year? Everybody's kind of consistent on who the top two tight ends are in this class. It's all Tyler Warren is mostly out of Penn State, the number one tight end, and number two is Colston Loveland from University of Michigan. That's usually the number tight end two. Those two are usually first round guys mostly in most mock drafts, and they're most likely going to go. Tyler Warren's probably gonna could go early top 10 in the teens. Colston Loveland's probably more late 20s type guy, potentially even in the second round, depending on kind of how they're valued. But in here, you might be kind of shocked by his number three tight end that he has in here. But obviously, number one, like I said, his number one tight end of the class, he has Tyler Warren from Penn State. You can see there his stats on the year. Mel Kiper has him ranked as the number 13th overall prospect. He had 104 receptions, 1,200 yards, and 1,233 yards and 13 total touchdowns. He pretty much did everything for Penn State last year. They had him in different Wildcat quarterback packages since he was actually a quarterback in high school. That ended up transitioning to tight end once he got to Penn State. He did a lot of blocking, did a lot of receiving. He's definitely more of that George Kittle type role that you suspect from all the Iowa tight ends that came out, and kind of what George Kittle had made famous with being able to, in the modern day football at least, to be able to block and run. Mostly in the modern day, you kind of want a slot guy that's going to go out and get, a lot of catches, a lot of receiving yards, kind of like how Brock Bowers plays, kind of like how Travis Kelce plays. But Tyler Warren's more that traditional hand in the dirt tight end that George Kittle was. He's going to do an amazing job blocking and he's going to do an amazing job receiving in both ways. So that's kind of the huge impact that, in my opinion, not only everything else that he did outside of Penn State, what makes him the number one tight end in this class that even Mel Kiper talks about is that he's going to make an impact in the running game and he's going to be able to make an impact in the receiving game. So a lot of people were kind of shocked last year when Brock Bowers got picked by the Raiders because they had just taken Michael Mayer the year before. That's kind of the reason why they were able to take both and use both. Michael Mayer is more the traditional blocking tight end that we see from Tyler Warren and George Kittle, while Brock Bowers is more that receiving slot wide receiver that we've seen had a huge impact with his receiving yards in this past season in his rookie year. So definitely Tyler Warren's the number one tight end. He could go anywhere from the top 10. I could easily see him going to the Jets at number seven, the Saints at number nine, around there. But most people have him around the teams. I think the most popular spot for him right now is definitely the Indianapolis Colts at number 14. Someone to kind of add a weapon at that tight end room for Anthony Richardson and somebody that's able to kind of, put that out, a safety valve for him for blocking in Anthony Richardson's run game when he takes off and in his receiving work. So moving on to the number two tight end that he has. This is kind of the same thing that a lot of people have. He has Colston Loveland, who didn't have as good of stats, but Michigan was more of a running team. He's ranked as the number 15th prospect in this draft by Mel Kiper. He had 56 receptions with 582 yards passing and five touchdowns overall. Now, Colston Loveland, while Tyler Warren's more of that traditional George Kittle type tight end, Colston Loveland's more kind of a little bit of a combination, but he's mostly more of that Brock Bowers type build that we talked about, where he's more of a slot receiver type guy on the smaller side, kind of like how Travis Kelce plays the game, how Brock Bowers plays the game. Mostly a route running tight end that's going to end up playing mostly out of the slot to be able to be kind of like a quick safety valve for a lot of the quarterbacks. He did a great job after the catch with most catches. He's just gonna basically gonna be more of a receiving tight end in most cases. A lot of people have him going in the late 20s. I think some of his most pretty much anticipated spots, I could see him going as early to the Cardinals, somebody like that, to be able to run that two tight end with Trey McBride. But he's most likely going to be going to somewhere kind of like the Denver Broncos is what some people have had at 20. The most popular pick for him is definitely the Chargers because Jim Harbaugh, who is the Chargers head coach, was the coach at University of Michigan, as most people know. And with him being at the University of Michigan, Jim Harbaugh actually recruited Colson Loveland to be able to come. So he's mostly that Jim Harbaugh type tight end that's going to fit into his system because he recruited him years ago. So he's definitely loves Colson Loveland because he chose him to be able to come and play at the University of Michigan. So he could be a spot there, I believe, at the 22nd pick. And there's a couple teams in the late 20s if he ends up falling. I definitely think the Chiefs could look at a tight end if one of them fall to him, if Loveland or Warren end up falling to him, because Kelsey's getting up there. This could be Kelsey's last year, in my opinion, if they win the Super Bowl. So he could be gone and they would only have Noah Gray at that point. So they could look up to just kind of get Kelsey's replacement. And there's a couple other teams in that, late 20 spot that could end up taking a chance on some of these tight ends that fallen. But if they make it into the early second round, one of those worst teams are definitely going to take a chance on them. Especially somebody like the New York Jets at 7, maybe with Tyler Warren, or if Loveland is there in the late second or early second round for them to be able to pick him, he would fall somewhere like this. So those are pretty much the top two tight ends that are consistent across everyone's board. But the number three tight end, shockingly, that he has was actually someone that's kind of lower on mine. Mel Kiper actually has LSU's Mason Taylor at tight end. Now he has a NFL pedigree because he's actually the son of former defensive lineman from the Dolphins, Jason Taylor. Obviously, Joy Taylor is his aunt. And Jason Taylor played very long career with the Miami Dolphins and several other teams. He was one of the best edge rushers in the early 2000s. So he's definitely, familiar with the NFL game. Now, he's more of the huge big body tight end, kind of how Jason Taylor was a huge big body off the edge. He's definitely more of kind of like that blocking and receiving type, but he's a huge body and huge target for most people. He had 55 receptions, 546 yards, and two touchdowns. His stats weren't as good, but he also had Jaden Daniels the last 2 years before he moved on to Garrett Nussmeier, who kind of brought his stats down a little bit, but he was able to pretty much be productive. I do think he's more of like the tight end 5 in this class. I am surprised that's not somebody like Harold Fannin here from Bowling Green or a Elijah Arreo from Miami. Those two guys are the ones kind of competing, in my opinion, for number three. But at the Senior Bowl, those two guys kind of Harold Fannin didn't really have as good of a day and kind of allowed other tight ends to be able to catch up. And Aurora had a pretty good day at the Senior Bowl that caught up to Fannin. But here, Mel Kiper does have Mason Taylor, and I don't hate it. I just think that the other two guys I mentioned, in Aurora and Fannin, are better than Taylor, and I would take them higher on my board. But he's definitely Mason Taylor is going to be a good, huge target for I would think a young quarterback. He's a guy that I think can come in and be a starting tight end as a rookie for if he's in the right situation. Somebody that definitely needs talent at the tight end position, maybe somebody like a Saints or somebody if Taysom Hill is still out, like I've mentioned. But if the right team's able to take Mason Taylor, he's definitely somebody that can come in and start right away. This tight end class is very good and very deep. It's kind of similar to the running back class. It has several tight ends that are very good and can come in right away and make an impact starting from day one. I believe there's five, obviously, starting tight ends in this class that are going to go in that second round to third round type, area in the NFL draft. But these were the top three tight ends for Mel Kiper, although they are a little bit different than what I would do for my third. Everybody pretty much has the same consistent top two. So please make sure to like the video, comment down below anything you agreed or disagreed with, and please subscribe to the channel for any future NFL content. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, feel like John Morant. Need a triple double. Told him check the stats. Yeah, I got a couple. I don't drop the ball. Now I never fumble. I'm the MVP. Now I feel like Russell. Feel like John Morant. Need a triple double. Told him check the stats. Yeah,